All right, welcome to our next series of Streams of Water, and we are here with new panelists, and we are excited to start this new topic. And I don't want to introduce the topic right away, but before that, I just like to introduce our panelists, and we are in a new location. If you noticed, not that we have funding, but but we are just somehow managing it.
They don't have to know that.
Oh, okay, it's okay. So somehow something is happening. Yeah, we got a new location, and we are kind of experimenting, and we have some common faces like Benji. Like I told, we need to replace us. Like I think we need to get out of this soon. So Benji is, for those of you new to this podcast, Benji is from Chennai. He is working with his own family business, and we have Sujit. Sujit also has probably come in one or two of our episodes of our other topics, and he is in Bangalore. And we have a new panelist, Dr. John Abraham. Dr. John is from Trivandrum, and he's what do you specialize in as a doctor?
I did my residency in dermatology and sexually transmitted diseases.
Okay.
But not practicing, not doing it.
Okay.
Because I shifted over to government service.
Okay.
And all that. So
yeah. So he's one of the persons I call if I have any issues. He's my go-to doctor sometimes. But he's also addressed this topic that we're going to talk in different forums. And in some ways together we have talked about. So that's why even he is here today, and we are privileged to have you and all of you.
Yeah,
and,
sure. You're most privileged to have me.
And my name is Godly. For those who do not know, I'm from Pune. So I have a question. Since we are in the IPL cricket season, I'm not going to ask you which. Do you follow cricket?
Oh, of course.
Yeah, you do? Okay.
Yesterday's match was terrific.
It was terrific. Yeah, CSK won. But
not CSK.
Huh?
Not CSK.
You are
SRH versus MI was
Yeah,
yesterday's match.
MI was beaten.
SRH got 277, the highest IPL score.
Okay. Oh, sorry.
I think they can ask you an IPL question.
Yes. So, my question is this. Okay, so how many times has India won the World Cup, the ODI World Cup?
It's twice.
I'm sure you would know.
Twice.
Twice?
Yeah.
Twice, huh? Oh, wow. Easy question. Any idea which year?
2011.
2011 under
83.
Under Dhoni.
Under Dhoni. 83
Under Dhoni.
under
Kapil
Kapil.
Dev.
83 under Kapil Dev. Wow, this is a problem if you have. You were there during that time, probably.
Okay, so you're getting it out.
When he was born,
Definitely not.
I was not born.
So making sure all the ages are mentioned. Okay.
So that was your objective of this
That's
question.
the objective.
That's why you don't know 83 what happens.
So that was a big change in the TV
Yeah.
industry, and cricket got a big boost.
Yeah.
They were the minions, the underdogs, the Kabul's Devils.
Yeah, it's very interesting, right? Like that set the trend.
Tone for cricket.
Tone for India. Yeah. So now India is in a different league of cricket, right? Like
Yep.
with IPL coming and
And it's gone to the point where they're not even like the players are not going for their domestic assignments like Ranji Trophy, and they are preferring IPL over that.
Yeah,
So it's grown to such a level actually.
Yeah.
So it's crazy.
Yeah. In fact, they say that IPL, if I'm not wrong, IPL with respect to money, it's the second biggest, I think, in the world. Something like that. I read it somewhere. I should not be giving wrong information, but I think it's Anyways, so in that cricket season and that boom, we'll talk about a very important topic that's for today, and that's it's fighting pornography, and it's a real battle, and I think it's a battle that's often fought in secret, often not spoken about. In fact, whenever I go out and speak, right, and so many people are like, "Oh, how can you speak about this? It's such a secret thing." Like,
So taboo.
Yeah, it's such a taboo, and so we are kind of exposing this in some ways, especially in our churches, for our churches in India, actually, from streams of what we've been wanting to talk about this for so many Yeah.
So long. We've been like
maybe 2-3 years probably.
Yeah, I
right?
think
and
ever
we pushed
since-
it and we pushed it and we pushed it.
so.
right?
Ever since we started, like our desire is to address topics that are seldom addressed, right?
Yeah.
And I think this was definitely
one of the
one of the top topics that we wanted to talk about. And for many reasons we couldn't do it, but no, I'm actually kind of nervous and very excited also that we are finally addressing
Yes,
this. So
yes,
it's cool.
yeah. And I'm kind of happy myself that we're talking about it because it's a real struggle for a lot of people.
Yeah.
And as we are talking about it, we'll see the seriousness of this topic, right? How it really affects a lot of people. And it's not about just youngsters who struggle with it. I think older people too. Which again, we live in an Indian culture which is shame culture. So we don't want to bring these things out in the open.
But just to jump in that aspect, recently I had a patient who was a 70-year-old who was saying that he had issues, marital issues, and he can't perform with his wife who is around 55 to 60-year-old. So many people consider this sex and all these things by 40, 45, everybody shuts shops. But that's not the scenario.
Yes.
So it is there. And I read somewhere like in a hospital setup, somebody was visiting an 80-year-old and he just walks in and immediately the person changes the channel.
Oh.
Okay, an 80-year-old. And they're saying like, why did you change immediately? He said, no. And then he just opens up. It was somebody who wasn't in the Christian background told, see, I was watching this, we still struggle. And then that guy is asking, so what you mean to say at an 80-year-old you're going to struggle with temptation and porn and sexual stuff? And I told, yeah man, that only goes, it is there till the grave.
Yeah.
So what you mentioned is very true.
Yeah. So it's a real struggle, and I think we'll talk about it more as we move forward. But on the onset of as we talk about this, I want to just quickly give a definition of what is pornography. It's any printed or visual material containing the explicit description or display of sexual organs or activity intended to stimulate sexual excitement. Okay, I'll just repeat it. It's any printed or visual material containing explicit description or display of sexual organs or activity intended to stimulate sexual excitement, right? And I think in our day and age, it's become more and more, right?
Yep.
Like many years back, right? It was probably books or magazines, right? And it's not that easy to get also, right?
Yeah.
But today, it's become very easy, right? Anyone can access, this explicit images or, of sexual organs or activities, and it's very easy, and I think that's why it's also affecting. The effect is more on people.
And so they use the word 3 A's: accessibility, affordability, anonymity.
Okay.
So that's the AAA engine. I read it somewhere. One of the psychologists was saying about it.
Yeah.
So that even in India, the statistics, if you take the people who view porn and stuff, 90% is online. Only 10% might be the old magazine, the rentals, all that stuff. Like you were saying, 83, I was there. So during those times, I remember still in the schools and the colleges, it was all the magazines being hidden under torn pages of tabloids and all just stuck in. And even it used to be this, nowadays we have online shopping. Those times it used to be catalog books. We get in mail. So I still remember like, when some friends come over or go to their houses, they are these, and the first page they turn to is these lingerie and stuff like that. That was the only exposure for a 8th standard, 9th standard boy or a 10th standard boy. And now, as you're saying, it is that is not there.
24/7 in your pocket. That's the thing, right? It's in your pocket.
Yeah. So what you told is very true.
Yeah, actually, when you told about cassettes, I remember when we were in college times.
Cassettes.
There's something used to be like that.
Do you know what cassette is? It's a box with 2 reels that goes around and a film that runs, right?
Oh my gosh. You should maybe put a picture somewhere. What cassette is so that everyone knows.
For our audience at least.
So we had this VCR players and there was VCR shops where you rent. And so I remember myself like going with one of my friends to get one of these cassettes, right? And it's like some drug, like we are dealing with some drugs or something, If we would be quiet and very quiet, waiting for everyone to move out to the shop and, and things like that. So just how it is changed, like you said, it's in our pockets today, right? And it's just a click away, right?
In fact, I mean, I just wanted to double click on the accessibility bit from where all it's available, even on the internet, right? It's not just on a browser. It's not just dedicated websites. You open up there are YouTube channels like Insider and all that throw light anonymously on how Facebook moderators, Reddit moderators, Instagram moderators struggle with the kind of content they have to moderate, and they just cannot keep up with the kind of content that keeps coming in that day. And even with the moderation, you guys can open up your apps and see that there are very easy ways to get out of the app and into it, just a click away. You don't even need to go and intentionally find it. It intentionally comes to you. Right?
So it's in a lot of places. In a lot of ways, in a lot of mediums for sure. Why this is so significantly important to me is that I personally struggled with it for a long time, and for the longest time, I thought that I can't get out of it. Right? Like I thought pornography is not a thing that I can get out of, and even trying multiple times trying to get out of it. It did not happen for a long time. And when I asked my friends for help, they would say, "Oh, even we are struggling with it." Like, I'm like, like I came to you for help, and you are saying that we are struggling with it. And then I came to a point just before marriage, like I think maybe 1-2 years before marriage, and I said, "You know what? I'm done with this. Like, I don't want to take this baggage to my marriage, right?" Oh, baggage to my marriage.
Wow.
Oh, another quote. And I said, you know what, I need to figure out. And then I did some steps, going to one of my mentors and confronting it, and a lot of things I had to do to get out of it. And the importance of, kind of getting out of it is very, like a lot of people are struggling with it and they're just keeping quiet. Or they're just saying, you know what, I'm just going to take this into marriage, right? And that's how it's going to be, right? So I think that's why it's very dear to me. Like it's something that I struggled with, and I know the pain that people go through it. But I also want people to know that you can get out of it, right? It's possible, with the right measures, and it can be a story that can be fixed for a long time, right? I remember one of my professors in the seminary that I was studying. He used porn probably many years back, right? But he was saying after 25 years also, he still has things in place so that he doesn't go back. After 25 years, like you think, like 25 years, you're over it, right? But he still keeps measures so that he doesn't go back, right? So that's how important this topic is, and that's how personal it is to me. Let's just look at some stats of India, of what it is in India. What is the average age of exposure? Any guesses that you have?
Considering
from what I remember in the school, maybe 14.
14? Okay.
Oh, no way. I'm thinking way less.
Way less?
9, 8?
9, 8?
Because I had to deal with a kid around 9 years.
Yeah. Even I had some counseling sessions with some parents and their kids.
So I have a friend who's teaching in a school, and she handles biology, right? So you can imagine that there's going to be a chapter about reproductive system and all. And she used to tell that, whenever I come and take that topic, I know that they know more than we are, more than what the book is telling. So it's at such a young age, you're so exposed.
It's very interesting you say that, because when it was our biology class, we didn't know. We didn't know so much. I'd be like, huh? Like all the guys were like, what? Like this, like they were like full, excited, like, and girls are like, oh, like we are talking about this, right? Very interesting you say that, So there is a lot of exposure.
I think that's that paradigm shift which has actually taken place. I mean, I used to say when I started off talking on these topics, maybe in 2006, I used to say like the change which I now perceive in the past 18 to 20 years of talking on this is so huge. Like initially we can say during our parents' times, They knew about all this stuff maybe when they are 25, 28, getting into marriage, and it is just known, sort of like nobody talks about these. Then when I told 2006, 2007, yes, we finished our college life. People know during the college life itself. Like 20-year-old, 21-year-old, they talk about it, but still many didn't know about it. But most of them knew about it. Then you're talking, then as I reached 2008, 2010, 11th, 12th, everybody knew about it. Okay, then now the sex education class starts at even much in lower age, by 5th standard, 6th standard onwards. And many of them know about all these things. And especially as you talk on this, the foul language which is talked, the 4-letter words, everything is sexual oriented. Okay, so they when we ask them, the kids in the bus, the complaint was like many people are using foul language, first standard students, that is 6-year-olds. Then who told you? Our elders, 6th standard boys. How did you hear about it? Oh, we heard it when we were in 2nd or 3rd. So what are you talking about? Uncle, how can we talk about it? So they know it. Okay, at least not bits and pieces. So that's a big shift which has taken place.
And I think that's an awareness that parents should have, right? Like your kids can get exposed to it at the very beginning, right? Like for my son, I'm very careful. Sometimes I'm scared like what he watches, right? Like something can pop up by mistake on YouTube, right? And when he's watching YouTube, even like YouTube, that's why we often use YouTube Kids. It's kind of safer, right?
But they get bored of it very soon.
Yeah, they do. Yes.
My kids, they used it, but when they reached 8, 9, Dada, we don't want that. So
parents also have to be aware of it. I think youngsters should be aware of it. So there's actually a stat on that. So we were just when we were preparing for this, we were finding some stats to show about this. It said that in India, 95% of parents, or 9 out of 10 parents, think their children are going online for education. And that makes so much sense because
everything is online.
Yeah, everything is online. After the pandemic, like every kid, just with the excuse of I have to attend class, got a device in their hands. And that it's so incredible how that comes according with the porn statistics also. In India, during the pandemic, there was a 95% boost. So, like when you take both these stats and you keep it side by side, and it doesn't take much to put 2 and 2, right? Like it's very obvious. So we have to be like, as you said, it's like children are getting devices in their hands at a much earlier age than they used to. So the accessibility has increased even more.
And the secretive nature of it starts when you are a Christian or very religious. And that starts maybe 11th, 12th, you want to put up a good image. But at a younger age, like 8th standard or 6th, it is a sharing mentality. Okay, what I got, you need to see. So I see that very often in the WhatsApp groups now, which have been formed by students by 6th standard, 8th standard to pass notes. In that, when I just have a look on it, all sorts of funny material, humorous, but with a small sexual tinge comes in. Okay, when that kid is doing it for sexual tinge, okay, the others in the group who are maybe silent are like, okay, what is this? I need to find out. Okay, so we are looking at the shareability quotient of it is much more at a younger age. That makes it more dangerous. But at 11th or 12th, when I see something, I want to keep it to myself. Okay, it's my personal pleasure. But at a younger age, it's a sharing mentality. So I got something, hey guys, watch it. How many times we see, if you go through the road, many of them are sharing a mobile and, hey, look at watching. Maybe it's a cinematic dance or something, but still, even this is there.
In fact, it's 2 things that I just want to pick up from what you were saying, that the use of the foul words with sexual connotations in them, and also the jokes that you're referring to, when they start that young, because I think pornography makes them makes you very insensitive to those words to a degree that at this age, even in church settings, even with people that are otherwise pursuing the Lord, these jokes become
casual,
and they seem funny. And that's something that I've been convicted of as I've been thinking more about it, that honestly, that is the root to why these jokes seem normal. And funny, but that's just a very sad toll on.
And even the common vocabulary, even the common things which like symbolizes a sexual organ, okay, they put it into context in the sexual setting.
Yeah.
So like common words, when we say like it means something else.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. So it's very interesting, and one thing that every time I often think is that we sometimes are very passive, right? Because the Bible in Proverbs chapter 4 verse 23 says, above all else, guard your heart, for everything you do flows from it, or from it comes the wellspring of life, right? And it's so important for us to guard our hearts, right? Guard our hearts, guard our children's hearts, guard, and let's not be passive, right? Let's be active, right? What are we watching? What are we hearing? What are we saying? What message? Like, I'm sure you are checking probably your WhatsApp message of your children's group, right? Sometimes parents don't even check that, right? They just give their phone to the children and say, you do what you want.
In the name of privacy.
Yeah. So, like, we have to be very careful in this day and age, like, how these things can really affect. And it can be a small thing that would just, divert a child's heart to something that is so perverted, right? And it can be such a big perversion, So, and I think this is, another stat says that India is like the third highest.
yeah.
Right? India is the third highest, after Filipinos or Americans or whatever.
Filipinos,
right? Yeah, it's the third highest, right? And like, I hope that India was not the third highest, right? I mean, we were saying after the ban also.
It's after the ban that they are third highest.
Yeah, so it's almost like continuing almost to say, right? And my stat is pretty old, and you're saying it's new. So it's really affecting all of us, and I think we have to stop taking this as a taboo and start talking about it. Protecting our children, protecting ourselves from it, talking about it in our churches, right? We have to come in the open. You have to bring sin into the light. If you leave it in darkness, it's going to be in the darkness, right?
Yeah.
And I hope, like, I know a lot of youngsters that I have helped out with, and I actually asked this question: are you struggling? I blatantly asked them, are you struggling with sexual sins?
Yeah.
And many of them say yes, right? And for me, it's a realization that everyone is struggling, right? I remember one pastor, Vasu, we used to take some classes from him in Bangalore. And when he talked about his topic, he said, 99% of the people lie they are struggling with this. 99% of the people say that they struggle with this, right? And the other 1% lie about it. So it's actually, if we take stats, I hope that we took a stats, of how many people actually struggle with it among our assemblies or among our churches. But it's a huge problem. And so I think there's lots to talk about in this topic, but I think for this session, we'll end with this. And we will close in this. And for those who are viewing, right, just some takeaways, right? This is a common problem. This is a common problem, and we have to address. We have to guard our hearts. The availability of this has become much more easier. And last of all, let's not be passive. Let's be active in whatever we do, and let us not keep this sin in the dark. The more we leave it in the dark, the more it's going to lay in the dark, right? And this is going to grow in the dark, right? But when we expose to the light of Christ, of the Bible, it's going to be, it has to be dealt with. So we'll talk more about it. It's just started. We are excited to talk about it and to bring many things into light. All right, thank you. Until next time.
See you.